Hey everyone, I am on my way to see my friend Dash. He's in this new musical called Dead Outlaw. It's having its last performance at the Minetta Lane Theater. From what I understand, it's been recorded for Audible, so at some point everyone should be able to at least listen to it. But the reviews have been incredible, and word of mouth has been off the hook. So I'm really proud of him, and I can't wait to see what this show has in store. It sounds like it's my type of musical, so I'm really looking forward to it. Hey everyone, happy Monday. It has turned out to be an absolutely beautiful day. It almost feels like summer, but it's not too hot. It's perfect. Let's talk about books for a second, because what else are we going to talk about on the BookTube channel? I am almost finished with Tommy Orange's book, Wandering Star, and I have to say, if you are looking for a good book for a book club, I would highly recommend that novel. There's so many topics that are handled with that book, everything from race and cultural appropriation, addiction, alcoholism, gender, sexuality, self-harm, but it's not done in a way where it feels like pandering or sort of like checking off the issues, like, oh, dealt with that one, oh, dealt with that one. No, it's seamlessly integrated into the story. It is so well done, and it's everything that Michael Cunningham's Day was not, because this book is also not super plot driven. I mean, there are plot points, but it mainly is sort of an examination of characters, just like Michael Cunningham's Day was. But this one is totally engrossing. I have loved it. It's easily going to be a 4-star read without even having finished it. And there's also many chapters in the book. Well, not many. I would say 2. There's 2 standalone chapters that could easily work as a chapbook. Chapter 12 is called Victory, and I think that one is very comparable to the book Between the World and Me. Really just fantastic book. So I am just about done with that. I'm about halfway through A.K. Blakemore's Manning Tree Witches, and I gotta say, it's not what I was hoping for. It's not bad, it's not comparable at all to The Glutton, which is one of my favorite books of the year. I can't toot the horn enough about The Glutton, but this one is very meh. So far. But I mean, again, I'm halfway through, and it's still meh. That's not a good sign. Oh yeah, P.S. by the way, Dead Outlaw, the musical I saw yesterday, was exceptional. And I'm not just saying that because I had a friend that was in the cast. It was one of the best musicals I have seen in years. I'm hoping to God it's revived or, transfers to Broadway. It deserves to. It truly does. And what a wacky story. It's based on a true story about a guy named Elmer McCurdy, who was sort of this flunky railroad robber. Like, he wasn't really ever successful at robbing trains. He was shot and killed at the age of 30. But that's really kind of where the story takes off. The musical mainly focuses on what happened to his body after he was killed. Like, it went on an adventure of its own for 60 years. And it wound up being discovered in a dark ride in Long Beach, California, of all places. So I found a book that tells the story, so I'm gonna read further about it. But it was just a fascinating story. It was so well done. The music was sort of a mix of rock and country and punk and even a lounge song at one point. But I loved it. Good morning. It's Tuesday. I have to give myself a little pat on the back because last night I shot and edited my first original tag video to celebrate 1,000 subs is called Stay Gold, and I scheduled it to post early in the morning. And then I also edited the footage from the author event and scheduled that to post on Wednesday. And I intend to do the same for the following week. So I am slowly learning, I think, how to become a booktuber. I'm not recording, editing, and uploading everything the day of, which I think is a big step in the right direction, because that's just a crazy way to operate. But I'm not going so far ahead that it's not sort of relevant to what's going on. I hope, at least that's the goal. But yeah, I think I'm getting the hang of this. I'm treating myself today for no particular reason. I'm on 5th Avenue. I need to pick up a new hoodie, like a zip-up hoodie. I've worn this one out. Feels like it's about to rain, which is perfect timing because I got this little light pullover from Uniqlo, and it's got the a hood built into the collar. So if it does start pouring down rain, I can just go. Then I also picked up a hoodie that zips up, and then another kind of pullover that has a bunch of pockets and zippers on it, which is really important. Uniqlo has this crazy checkout center where you just put your clothes in the basket and it automatically knows what you have put in the basket. Like, you don't have to scan tags or anything. And I looked it up, and apparently there are chips built into their tags, and the basket has some sort of technology where it reads it through radio waves or something like that. So yeah, it's odd. And it confuses people. It really confuses people too. Like, the poor girl that works there was like, I can only help one person at once, because everyone wants to scan the tags, but you don't scan the tags. I am reading the Monk and Robot books. Everyone has been talking about how great they are. And Manning Tree Witches is just going a little slower than I want it to. I'm halfway through the book, and the plot is starting to pick up now. Like, things are being set into motion, but it's still really slow. And these are 2 short books, and everyone seems to really, really love them. And they're very short. I think I can probably finish the first book today and maybe the second book tomorrow. But yeah, doing that just to switch up the pace, because this month has been really slow going, and I'm not a fan. How many of you stayed up last night to listen to the new Taylor Swift album? Be honest. I did. And you can imagine how my jaw hit the floor when Patti Smith was name dropped in the title song. That was pretty wild. And then, just when you thought you were through, at 2 a.m., she drops 15 bonus songs. Those are not bonus songs. That's an entire album. I have about 35 pages of Manning Tree Witches left, and the weather seems to be cooperating, so I thought I would walk down to the park and finish the book outside. But there's something I want to show you right over here. There's a rock that has a lot of significance when it comes to the history of New York and Manhattan in particular. And it's not the greatest history, but it's one that I think you should see. Okay, so let's talk Manning Tree Witches here for a minute. Like The Glutton, this is a book that is based on actual events and people that existed. However, the story doesn't really get going till about 150 pages in. And for me, the pacing just really kind of killed the book. It's also written in a way that's sort of, I guess you could describe it as, well, I don't know, poetic doesn't seem right, but there's like hints of the old language, and I don't know, I just had the most difficult time staying awake reading this book. I think A.K. Blakemore is a fantastic writer, and if anything, this just shows how much she has grown as a writer from her debut novel to The Glutton, which I may have to retroactively change to a 5-star read, because I am always talking about how great it is, and so far it is my favorite book of the year, along with James. James was also really great, and maybe that explains why I had such a tough time getting through this book. To start off the month reading Huckleberry Finn and James really set a high bar, and I followed that up with Michael Cunningham's Day, and that is a book that has very little plot. It's completely character-based. The only problem is the characters are just sort of wallowing in their own misery, and I didn't really feel invested in any of them. I didn't really care about their stories, and they seemed very sort of stereotypical and basic. And then, of course, I follow Day Up with The Manning Tree Witches, another slow-paced book, and it just made for a very kind of meh reading month. So to switch things up, I picked up the Monk and Robot books. I enjoyed both of them. Both of those books were 4 stars. Even though they're quick, fast reads, they still pose some really interesting philosophical questions. And yeah, I would recommend those 2 books for sure. So I've got about 35 pages left of The Manning Tree Witches, and I'm going to finish it here in the park, and I will report back once I'm done. Well, kids, it's Saturday. We made it. Ace has a vet appointment today at 3 o'clock. And right now, it looks like they're setting up for this big event. And chances are they're going to be shutting down the streets. So I hope we can get there. Yesterday, I finished The Manning Tree Witches, finally. And I even shot a little video of myself reading it, just to put on the channel, because I know some people like those videos where it's just like background noise. I'm not going to be making a bunch of those, but it's there if anyone wants it. Oh, you guys, I think I discovered a Patti Smith inspired Easter egg in the new Taylor Swift video, Fortnite. So at the end of the video, Post Malone is singing in a telephone booth, and it's raining, and Taylor Swift is sitting on top of the telephone booth. And at the very end, the closing shot, he steps out of the telephone booth, and they hold hands, and they do sort of a zoom in on their hands, and he's wearing a big ring. And I think it is a reference to the Patti Smith song, Because the Night. In that song, there's a lyric that says, "Have I doubt when I'm alone? Love is a ring, the telephone." So, just a theory, but this might be the album that turns me into a Swiftie. Let me ask you a question. Do you think, by any chance, this book is used? What do you think? 16 stickers on this book telling me that it is used. Inside, of course, tons of annotations and highlights on practically every page. I bought this off of eBay from a seller that has stock images. Never again. This is something that Book Chat with Pat talked about in her I'm So Annoyed video. I've written them a nasty note. I said, I want to touch base with you before I leave negative feedback. But no, especially if you're going to make me wait 2.5 weeks to get the book, and then you surprise me with this turd. This isn't acceptable, right? I'm not being extra, right? This is not okay.
When you start and so I just want to talk about this cookbook. You just came out with a new cookbook.
Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, and I have to say, for a week that I spent complaining about having a slow reading month, I think I have more books to talk about right now than I have in any other week. As you have seen, I was having a really difficult time getting through the Manning Tree Witches. I think that this book doesn't succeed as well as it could had it been a nonfiction book, or if it had had some sort of, I don't know, fantasy element or something new, because, you know, you pick this book up and you just go, well, obviously it's a witch hunt. There's nothing real. Oh my God. If I had a quarter for every time I heard that this week. But I guess what's coming to my mind is Slewfoot, right? I think it was another bibliophile. He was reading Slewfoot and he didn't like it because he didn't feel like the author did enough historical research. And I feel like this is a book where the author did do their historical research, but it fails as a story. It just wasn't very engaging. The pacing is molasses for the first half of the book. Once the story gets going, things pick up, obviously, but you already know what's going to go down because, you know, if you have any background knowledge of the witch hunts, or if you've read or seen a performance of The Crucible, you know what happens. There's nothing new. There is, maybe you could argue, like one character gets their comeuppance, but other than that, to get through that book, I picked up Becky Chambers' Monk and Robot Duology. The first book is called A Psalm for the Wild-Built, and its sequel is A Prayer for the Crown-Shy. Both of these books were super fast reads, and even though they're short and sweet, they had a lot of depth. They raised some interesting philosophical questions, and the character of the monk and the robot parallel each other in some really interesting and unexpected ways. Yesterday morning, I started reading Whoopi Goldberg's new memoir, Bits and Pieces. This is coming out May 7th, and I finished the entire book yesterday. It's so well written, which really should not surprise anyone because, as she points out, she's written one-woman shows, stand-up comedy, children's books, books for adults. But I think this is where she really shines. You get a real sense of who her mother and her brother were and the impact that they made on her life and the lessons that they taught her. It's just a beautiful love letter to both of them. And then in the end of the book, she discusses the importance of having those really difficult conversations with family members about what to do if you're, you know, facing a life-threatening health emergency, or, you know, if someone passes, what do you want to happen? How should you handle that? And how often should you have those conversations? And this morning, I started reading Goyhood, which I'm enjoying so far. I'm not terribly far into the book. I'm on chapter 5, but sort of the big secret has been revealed. And so far, it's a lot of fun. That was my reading week. And I have good news to report on Ace. Yesterday was his final follow-up visit. They found a little bit of yeast in one of the ears, but it's nothing like how we started this misadventure. She was really, really pleased with how far he's come. She said all of the redness and the infection was gone. And they went ahead and did a little bit of treatment in that ear, but we don't even have to go back and do a follow-up. She said that she was certain it was going to knock it out. She was really, really pleased with how far he's come. And, whoo, wasn't me. When I finish shooting this update, I'm going to start editing the video and putting together my May TBR. I already have an idea of some of the books I'm going to read, and I think it's going to make up for this month, which was sort of mediocre at best. Although we started and ended strong. And I might still have time to sneak in one more book. You never know. Thanks to everyone who did the Stay Gold tag. I've enjoyed watching those videos, and I hope that the people who are getting shout outs are taking that in as well, and know that you are appreciated. Make sure that you, and I will see you very, very soon.